The galaxy was a vast and unpredictable place. For centuries, countless species had risen and fallen, building empires that reached across the stars, only to collapse as swiftly as they had emerged. The universe at its core was a place of fierce competition and survival. Amidst it all, humans had made their mark, not through grand alliances or overwhelming numbers, but through one undeniable trait: their ability to survive in the most hostile environments imaginable. Humans had earned their place among the stars as the Deathworlders, a species forged through struggle, their home planet a violent, dangerous place where only the strongest could survive. But the galaxy had not always treated humanity kindly. Many alien species saw humans as little more than pests, primitive, weak, and unworthy of their attention. Yet the humans had always fought back, surviving against overwhelming odds. Their enemies soon realized that underestimating humanity was the biggest mistake they could make. The story begins with a transmission, a call for help from a species that had once ruled a vast empire in the far reaches of the galaxy. The Zor were an ancient, powerful race, known for their advanced technology and fierce warrior culture. But their empire had been slowly crumbling for decades, their once proud fleets being wiped out by mysterious invaders. The Zor, desperate and near extinction, had sent a message to the Galactic Council, a call for assistance. The transmission was filled with pleas. The Zor were not asking for mercy. They were offering a deal. They promised technology beyond anything the galaxy had seen. They promised wealth, knowledge, and power in exchange for help in pushing back their enemies. The Zor claimed that their civilization could offer the galaxy immense resources if they were allowed to survive, and they promised to make any race that helped them stronger than ever before. The message reached the ears of the Galactic Council, but the Council had no intention of sending help. They were too busy with their own power struggles, too caught up in their petty conflicts to care about a species on the brink of extinction. However, the transmission didn't just fall into the hands of the Council. It also found its way to a much more unexpected recipient: humanity. At first, the humans didn't react to the message. After all, the Zor were a proud species, and their history was filled with conflict with other races, humanity included. Many would have considered it a waste of time, even foolish, to help such a species. But for the Deathworlders, it wasn't about charity or diplomacy. It was about survival. Humans had fought their battles across the galaxy, battles against alien species, against the hostile environment of their own homeworld, and even against themselves. They had lost much, but they had always emerged stronger, more determined. For humanity, survival was never just a matter of luck. It was a choice. And now, with the Zor on the brink of destruction, they were faced with a choice: help the Zor or watch another empire fall. But the Zor's message didn't sit well with humanity's leaders. There was something about it that didn't add up. The Zor were not known for being weak, nor for asking for help. In fact, they had always seen themselves as above others, believing their superiority to be absolute. To now hear them pleading for help was suspicious, to say the least. After a brief council meeting, a decision was made. Humanity would send aid to the Zor, but not out of any sense of duty or goodwill. The Zor had proven themselves time and again to be deceitful and manipulative, and humanity would not be caught off guard. Instead of rushing into the system with their full fleet, humanity decided to send a small group of ships, a scouting fleet, to assess the situation and gather intelligence. They would make no promises, no alliances, and offer no real help unless they deemed it necessary. The small fleet, commanded by Admiral Kira Selene, was equipped with the most advanced ships humanity had ever produced: sleek, silent, and lethal. The fleet's mission was simple: observe, assess, and act if necessary. But there was no plan to offer the Zor anything beyond that. As the fleet entered the Zor system, they kept their presence concealed. The ships moved silently through the vast expanse of space, their sensors scanning every inch of the system for signs of danger. The Zor, oblivious to humanity's approach, continued their desperate fight against their invaders. Their planets were under siege, their once proud fleets scattered, and their cities burned. It was clear that the Zor were on the verge of defeat. Yet even in the face of such overwhelming odds, they refused to bow down. They would fight to the last. They would never surrender, and they would never ask for help from the very races they had once dominated. But as the humans watched from the shadows, something strange began to happen. The Zor, those once powerful conquerors, began to show signs of weakness. They weren't just asking for help anymore. They were begging. Their leaders sent frantic messages to the Galactic Council, to the few allies they still had, pleading for assistance. But the response from other races was lukewarm at best. The humans, however, had a different plan. They knew that the Zor's desperation was genuine, but they also knew that they could not trust them. The Zor had long been their enemies, and now, in their hour of need, humanity would make it clear that survival in the galaxy was not something given freely. It was something earned. Admiral Celine's fleet moved deeper into the Zor system, silently passing through the wreckage of the Zor's once mighty fleets. Their ships, sleek and deadly, loomed like shadows in the night, unnoticed by the Zor and their enemies. The human ships moved with the precision of predators, slipping through the wreckage and observing the chaos below. They watched as the Zor, in their desperation, made desperate bargains with their enemies. They watched as the once great empire crumbled, its foundations shaking under the weight of its own failure. The humans made no move to intervene, at least not yet. They weren't there to fight for the Zor. They were there to send a message. And as they observed, the message became clearer. The Zor had miscalculated. They had underestimated the Deathworlders. The time for intervention had arrived. The small fleet of humans, which had been watching from the shadows, now made their move. It wasn't a large fleet by any means, but it didn't need to be. The Zor were already broken, their enemies scattered, and their resources depleted. The humans would not help them rebuild. They would not offer technology or aid. Instead, they would simply end the fight. Humanity's fleet emerged from the darkness like a storm. With pinpoint precision, the human ship struck, disabling the Zor's remaining defenses. They didn't destroy everything, but they made sure to neutralize the most critical points. The Zor were no longer in a position to fight back. They were broken, helpless, and no longer a threat to the galaxy. As the humans pulled back into the shadows, leaving the Zor to deal with their own fate, Admiral Celine felt a strange sense of satisfaction. The Zor had begged for help, and humanity had given them something far more valuable than assistance. A reminder that the galaxy was not a place where weakness could survive. The Zor had been given a choice, one that they had failed to honor. Now they would have to face the consequences. Humanity had not come to save them. Humanity had come to make sure they never forgot who truly held the power in the galaxy. And as the fleet turned back toward home, the message was clear. The Deathworlders would not be forgotten. To survive in the galaxy, the Zor would need more than desperation. They would need to prove they were worthy of survival. And the Deathworlders would be watching, always watching from the shadows. The silent call had been heard, but it was the Deathworlders who had answered.